Well, it appears the mainstream media is at it once again. And what is it that I could be talking about? Creating propaganda and injecting it into the landscape, of course, this time in the form of a slander upon Joe Rogan. Of course, not specifically attacking him, denigrating him, and calling him names, but deceptively editing a clip of him from his most recent show with Michael Malice. And in this, what they did was try and chop up what he said to make it seem like he was endorsing who? Kamala Harris. Of course, as we see the internet ripping mainstream media asunder, MSNBC then pulling the clip down, but of course that's not how the internet works. You can't just remove it from people's mind, and thus we see that now Joe Rogan is apparently coming forward and suing MSNBC to the tune of $30 million for defamation. And if that is the case and he is to win this lawsuit, my goodness, what a payout that will be. Granted, Joe Rogan having a $250 million Spotify contract, this is effectively change to him, but nonetheless, what I do want to see is the mainstream media like that of MSNBC be bled dry. So now let's go ahead, jump in and see what we've got with all of the insanity behind the lies being told about Joe Rogan once again. Starting with the Tribune, here we see Joe Rogan sues MSNBC over deceptive Kamala Harris video. Rogan is reportedly suing MSNBC for editing his podcast episode to falsely imply a Kamala Harris endorsement. Just a quick look back on history. I don't know if you remember this, but during the time of the 2016 presidential election, there was actually a man who was putting out memes and prank phone calls telling Democrats to vote by text or to not vote at all. And in doing this, he actually ended up going to jail. So, curious to see how this could possibly unfold with the fact of those who wield responsibility within the halls of MSNBC. Of course, there will be none, and they will have no culpability for the actions they've taken. They won't even lose their jobs. And why would that be? Well, because they're serving the halls of power, and in doing so, that means that you effectively have a safety net beneath you. And that's what you see with these politicians who consistently come out onto the political landscape, and they endlessly volley nonsensical talking points at you and every single other person you know and love. And while doing this, well, they achieve nothing because they're the least impressive people you could possibly imagine. But of course, that doesn't matter because there's a cushy job waiting for them on the other side of the hill, and usually it's always done through that of a government contract or an institution that gets government contracts. That is the big thing to pay attention to, that those within the halls of power, whether it be those who walk them or those who hold the pockets of those that do, like the media class at MSNBC, they will gladly lie endlessly, and it doesn't matter what they have to do to achieve that lie. All that matters is that they can deliver it to you. And in the process of people being called out for their lies, well, they still won't retract them. What? You don't think that's the case? Well, let's go ahead and look. Here we see from MSNBC, Joe Rogan says he has COVID and took widely discredited drug ivermectin. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration last month urged people to stop believing misinformation claiming the livestock treatment could help cure COVID-19. Ah yes, ivermectin, that drug that is quite literally won a Nobel Peace Prize, been used on billions of people worldwide, was used to cure river blindness in children in Sudan. But no, it's a dangerous horse dewormer, don't you see? Absolutely and utterly absurd. It is literally something to tackle parasites within the body, but does that matter to the media? No, they will run their lies endlessly and then keep them up on the internet without changing a singular thing. Here we see from The Independent, ivermectin. Why are U.S. anti-vaxxers touting a horse dewormer as a cure for COVID? Here we see from The Rolling Stone, crazy times. Joe Rogan got COVID and ate a cocktail of meds, including a horse dewormer. You know what they never do? They never address the fact that this medicine that he was given, it was done so through prescription by his doctor. Of course, we can't actually mention that. We just have to claim that Joe Rogan is taking veterinary medication, just like we have to claim that Joe Rogan now supports Kamala Harris.
She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. So she was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
You see a clip like that and you just go, wow, how unbelievably deceptively edited that is. Truly and absolutely absurd. But of course, the media doesn't even think about it like that. How stupid does the person who put that out into the zeitgeist have to be to think using a clip such as that is going to be something that sells anyone on the merits of Joe Rogan voting for Kamala Harris? You literally used a clip twice in that short 20-second frame because you had to do so in an attempt to possibly, hopefully, just maybe make it seem like Joe Rogan would vote for Kamala Harris. Look at the title of this right here. Look at what I'm pointing at right now. It says Joe Rogan predicts a Kamala Harris victory in November, arguing that voters should vote Kamala Harris. From MSNBC, this was on TikTok, and people found it, called it out immediately, and they're like, I just watched this episode of Joe Rogan, and this wasn't said at all. In fact, this is polar opposite of the message that they were delivering. Let's go ahead now and play that clip from JRE so you can go ahead and listen to Joe Rogan and Michael Malice, and you can actually understand what it is that they were talking about in totality.
It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. That everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. So, they've been doing this live for years. So, in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate. And
Right.
if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate, she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders that wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out. Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast the pig. Just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top-tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either.
Isn't that wild?
They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
Yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit, so she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. All those things you want.
But
And yet you don't want her.
Because she's not for war.
Yes.
'Cause
Well,
she's not for
she's
the war
also
mission.
just not willing to play ball. There's a game that's being played. And if you're like, hey, you're not supposed to fucking move the ball. Like, oh, look at this bitch over here. Like, get out of here. You're going to fuck up our game. It's not real democracy. It's controlled parties.
It's hard to imagine Joe Rogan being more spot on there because Tulsi Gabbard truly represented everything that the Democrats wanted in their candidate. But she didn't support war. She didn't support the uniparty industrial complex. She is, true to heart, in her core, a real Democrat. That person who looked towards someone like JFK as that shining star on the hill to strive to be just like them. And that's what we realize, that someone standing atop principles, first principles, in fact, and unwilling to move from them, saying, no, I will not step away from this battleground because it is one that is far too valuable to fight upon. Well, Tulsi Gabbard was then ostracized from the field of relevance and denigrated by the media endlessly. Of course, she is that veteran that they desire, that woman that they desire to be their political frontrunner. She is, in fact, a minority, and not only that, unbelievably intelligent, charismatic as the day is long, and as well-spoken as you could possibly hope for. But in the end, she doesn't support the uniparty industrial complex in their machinations or any of their wars. Thus, she is most certainly someone who we cannot allow within this landscape. So now let's go ahead and throw this into Tulsi Gabbard and see what she has to say surrounding this whole ordeal.
Not sure if you guys caught this, but MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. they deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
This is not reflective at all of the truth of what Joe Rogan said. And I think MSNBC has since taken this post down. But what's really serious here is that not only does Joe Rogan deserve an apology, there's actually something far bigger at stake here. This is yet another example of how MSNBC is working hand in glove with the Democrat elite and the Kamala Harris campaign to try to spread lies, simply things that are not true. So what this means is MSNBC is a for-profit corporation. They are helping Kamala Harris's election campaign, and what they are doing through their platform would qualify as an in-kind contribution to her campaign. It's worth a lot of money. The fact that they are doing this should require the Federal Elections Commission that manages campaign spending and campaign finance to require them to report this as an in-kind campaign contribution or to be punished for abusing their position in trying to use their platform that has nothing to do with journalism. It is purely a propaganda platform, and that they are using this in order to try to help Kamala Harris get elected. These people need to be held accountable for what they're doing, because otherwise they will continue to do this, continue to abuse their platform and their power to try to deceive the American people and help her get elected.
Tulsi just knocking the ball out of the park with this one. And I think it's most important to actually address what she said there with the FEC, specifically claiming that MSNBC would need to register with them because they're operating as nothing more than essentially a banner waving in the wind for a political campaign, and that of Kamala Harris. So here's the deal. The entirety of the media class, the corporate press, the Mockingbird media, they all do this. They all operate as mouthpieces for political campaign. Look at Fox, OAN, Newsmax, many of these other conservative outlets that are sitting there doing nothing more than ranting off endlessly whatever talking points are coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. Just like we see the fact of MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and every single other progressive outlet under the sun that wears the moniker of regime hack can sit there and tell you nothing more than the mouthpiece propaganda talking points that are given to them by the Democrat Party, because they operate as apparatchiks for these institutions of power. And that is exactly why they'll never have to walk through the halls of power to make sure that they will be operating under the law as you and I will have to, because they serve the people who craft it. I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you for watching if you got this far. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Stay lovely, stay great, tell someone you love them. Peace out.